is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop NBA DFS conversation starts right now, taking you up to lock. Big boy slate, not messing around. 10-gamer. It's a weird 10-gamer because it's a 10-game sprint slate. You don't really get those. 10 games between the hours of 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 8 o'clock on the East Coast. 10 games going off. There's a couple more games being played in the association. We're not talking about those. They are not on the DraftKings or the FanDuel main slate. Tons of body parts to discuss that are up in the air. Anthony Davis, and they gave him a knee. He played over 50 minutes last night. I highly doubt he plays tonight, but he's officially questionable. We already saw SGA officially ruled out with his quad. DeJounte Murray, Atlanta's already super thin. He's questionable with the back. Anthony Edwards plays through everything, but they're like 17-point favorites versus Detroit. Maybe they give him a night. If not Edwards, maybe Gobert gets a night. It can be really interesting as far as what Minnesota does, and when they will tell you, when they're going to tell us what they're going to do as well certainly matters. Help me figure this out. It's Head Chopper. It's Will. It's the Chief. Will, you said you're a pump pre-show talking about baseball. Yeah, I did a ton of baseball content today. My expert rankings are up. I worked on the expert survey. I believe Chop already knocked it out as well. This time tomorrow, we're going to be tilting some baseball for sure, but I guess kind of a bummer for you. One less day. You're a Braves fan. They got rained out, so they helped out Roth. Braves are rained out. I'm guessing they rescheduled that for Friday. I don't know. A lot of times they leave like an open day. But, yeah. Will, happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. And, less than one day. One more sleep. We got some baseball. We'll talk some basketball tonight.
Absolutely. Our good friend of the show, J3, asked, did I get a nap in after the morning show? J3, I did not get a nap in, sir. I was doing content and getting prepared for this evening. I squeezed in one show of Power, Book 2, Ghosts. Squeezed in one show of that and got back to work. So ate a salad for lunch as well while watching. So that if Bobby Gomes is watching, take that, because Bobby kind of guilted you last time for having macaroni. Remember, there's a callback to the previous everything in moderation. See, Bobby was like, well, that's a lot of cholesterol. Not if you don't eat it every day. You know what I'm saying? I don't eat mac and cheese every single day. That's a black myth. We don't eat mac and cheese every day. So now listen, when I was growing up, every Sunday, either my dad made it or my grandmother made it. Either one of my grandmothers. They both passed away now, but when I was younger, they were both alive. But, we had a big family dinner at my grandmother's house every Sunday. All my aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone would be there. And that was a good time, man. You don't really see that too often anymore in communities outside of maybe the holidays. So that's something from my childhood that I definitely enjoyed, man. Those huge, huge family dinners. And you really got to know your family and built those connections.
For better or worse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you just, my family where they live, they mostly still do that to a degree. But you got to think all my cousins now are married, have kids, or something similar to my lifestyle. So we're all adults. So their kids get that experience now. So it's pretty cool.
Chopper, happy Wednesday. You're talking pre-show. Looking forward to your Houston Cougars. Your Houston Astros, they start the season tomorrow, taking on the Yankees.
Houston Rockets look like they might get in the thing. I mean,
they're making a run. They want the right to get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. They're excited about that as well.
All things coming up, Chop. All right, so there's a lot to address here, Dean. Number one, I respectfully ask Chief, no spoilers on the Ghost.
No spoilers. No spoilers.
I just last night wrapped up the latest season of Raising Kanan. I think that's the best spinoff in the Power universe. That's just my opinion. I like the Tommy Egan one. It's okay, but Raising Kanan really hits home.
Yeah. I haven't seen Force. I haven't seen Tommy Egan. Force, I think, is that spinoff.
I've
seen all of Power.
Yeah.
I've seen all of Power. I'm on Power Book 2 Ghosts. I'm in season 1. So that's where I am.
Listen, I'll give you the cliff notes. Is that's more of like the soap opera,
Yeah.
Raising Kanan is like, obviously none of it's reality, real, but it's the closest one to reality. And Tommy Egan is just like, he's just a character. Everybody likes the character, So that's what makes him. It's what makes him funny. But Yeah, it's a good thing. All right, number 2, that might be the question of the day, and the poll is salad dressing. What's your preferred salad dressing? Everybody's got their different thing right there. So I'm not saying that's the question. I'm just saying it's a possibility. It could be a question, right? Like maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dean,
producers.
I like that. And Eric Johnson says, I can't watch reality TV, but these shows aren't reality TV. These are, let's call them dramas, if you will. But maybe he wasn't referring that to us. So I did want to clear that up. If he thought it was a reality show, it's nothing like Big Brother or, something like that.
Yeah, no. And then as far as the Rockets, Dean, yeah. People forget when Ime took over for Boston, it took them. They were under 500 until about January that year.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they were the favorites to win the title. It takes him a while to get a system in place and to figure out what's going on, but once he gets it, that team gets rolling. I like this team. Now there's big talk out there, Dean. There's big talk. I don't know if you heard the rumors, the scuttlebutt, but there's big talk. There's big talk saying maybe it's Şengün that needs to be traded and not Jalen Green. Like these two guys, it's tough for them to both coexist in the same lineup. It really is. Like it's tough to. One of them's probably got to go. So that's the.
I agree with that.
Let me say this, Chop, to support what you're saying for Houston. In today's NBA, I hate to say it, man. If one's got to go, it's probably got to be Şengün. In today's NBA, the guards run the game, man.
Now, I can see a scenario. One of them gets packaged with that top 10 draft pick for a really good veteran. Now, that's kind of what I'm on board with, but we'll see what happens, Dina. Yeah, Houston.
I think Şengün's got more trade value than Green. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that, but that's
I think so.
That's the way I feel.
So at this point. So, yeah, I'm good, man. And then I'm ready for the Sweet 16 to kick off on Friday for us and feel good about our chances of getting into the Final Four now. I think we got the really tough one out of the way and ready to roll, Dean.
But yeah, if you want to do the small sample thing, the Rockets have won 9 in a row. They're one game behind Golden State in the 11 spots. One game behind Golden State for a chance to play the Lakers. So I guess 2 of those 3 teams. So it was basically set that it was going to be Lakers, Golden State most likely in the 9 and 10. Phoenix kind of falling back a little bit too, but Houston saying, "Well, not so fast, my friends." Winning at 9 in a row. So and that coincides with Şengün getting hurt. So maybe that's something there, but it's also small sample stuff. But maybe I'm just a homer when it comes to Şengün as well. Big man who can step out, hit a 3, and can pass. He fits the 2024 game. I know he's not as probably fast as you want him to be, but he's a big man who can pass and shoot, which is what he's not like Andre Drummond or Jonas Valanciunas. I guess Valanciunas can hit a 3 as well, but he's better defensively also. But different conversation for another day. I see TJ hanging out in chat. I saw TJ was going to be on later during crunch time, and I was surprised because TJ just had a child. Shout out to TJ and all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, and the Zwarych family in its entirety. Just yesterday, I believe it was. Maybe it was 2 days ago. But taking no time. What do you got, Will?
I'm going to plug one more thing in for John and Michael, and I agree with them, but I do have a counter argument here. They said, trade, you can always get another Jalen Green. You can always draft another good guard. While I agree with that, people, and I always say this, people underestimate how hard it is to score 30 points in it. Like, it doesn't matter how good you think you are. Scoring 30 points in the league is still like, people aren't just walking up the street scoring 30. Like, that's what you're going to have to replace if you're trading Jalen Green. And I know he doesn't score 30 every game, but my point is, when a guy like Şengün goes down or a guy like Fred VanVleet goes down who's a little bit older, Jalen Green can legit pull this team to the finish line through his score. So that's my only reason why I'm saying I think Jalen Green is more valuable to this version of the NBA. But I agree with their point overall. But objectively, it's still everybody should start walking in the league scoring 30. That's my point.
Cam Thomas officially in with his back. If you guys missed that, I'm looking at projections, just raw projections. The top 4 players, raw projection-wise, on DK are all questionable. Anthony Davis, highly questionable. DeJounte Murray, fairly questionable. It's a 10-gamer, right? 20 teams playing, and I think it's only 1 or 2 teams that are on the front end of our back end. So almost every single team is playing an island game. One team that's not is Atlanta. Atlanta, one of the few teams that's on the front of a back-to-back, And Atlanta also is kind of sort of locked into their 10 spot. I guess they can move to the 9 spot, but they're basically locked into the play-in nonsense. It's just a matter of will they take on the Bulls at home or will they take on the Bulls on the road? And how much do they want to push that? But it is the front end of back-to-back. I think tomorrow night, I want to say they play Boston, which, they did beat recently, but they will probably lose that game. I'm curious to see how they handle that. But, Atlanta, maybe they just say, we'll win this game and sit tomorrow, but Boston's going to sit some guys tomorrow too because they've earned the right to do that. Let's see. Okay, yeah, back end of a back-to-back. It is, let's see, Thunder and the Warriors. Yeah, the Warriors traveling as well, doing the Florida thing, taking on the Magic tonight. We're going to do our best to figure it out at this time of year. A lot of if-then stuff. I know we have an if-then posted for some players as well. We'll kind of dig into, but yeah, big picture here, Chop. SGA being ruled out. Atlanta, good matchup against Portland. Really, really thin. Could get much thinner if Murray's out. That is what is popping right now in optimals. It's pretty concise. We're also missing a lot of studs, right? There's 20 teams playing, but we probably don't have Davis. There's no Luka. There's no Joker. No Embiid. You just run down like the top players you always want. No Sabonis. It's kind of interesting how we're without no Giannis. 5 of the top players in the league as far as raw points wise. But we're getting a lot of Atlanta, getting a lot of OKC. What do you have as far as the the screenshot of the slate, Chop, before you fully dive in and do the old game by game?
I don't do the whole screenshot of the slate. I don't believe in all that, but I will answer a question in chat real quick from Hammer.
Yeah,
he asked a very good question. It's should Caitlin Clark take the $5 million from Ice Cube? I say yes. Caitlin Clark should set herself up for, even though she's going to get embarrassed playing against men, real men.
Against Charles Oakley?
She'll get
90-year-old Charles Oakley?
She'll get embarrassed. But the $5 million, or if she invests correctly, that'll set her up for life. Go ahead and take the $5 million because you're not guaranteed.
She's already set for life. She'll be fine. She's getting money in endorsements and all that kind of stuff. So
she probably get a few endorsements, but just okay. Well, then if you think, I'm not looking at her bank account. If she's got money, then don't do it because it'll be a disaster for her. But if you need the money and you want to set yourself up for retirement early, take the $5 million. Give it a shot.
You're missing what's happening here, Chop. This is a brilliant move by Ice Cube because there's no way she signs. There's no way she signs the big three. But nobody was thinking about even talking about the big three. But now we're talking about them. We're giving them free publicity. She's never going to sign there. They're never going to sign her. But we're talking about it. And now Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp or whoever, like the talking head, Stephen A. It's just like free conversation about the big three, and it's never going to happen. It's like when there was this. There was an adult entertainment company that said they were going to sponsor the Miami Heat arena. And that was never going to happen, but they talked about it. It was free publicity. I don't know, Will, you got a thought on this? Oh, Will's on ultimate mute.
Yeah. No, I said a few words. I didn't get into a soliloquy. I think she should take it because $5 million is a lot of money. The big three is not the NBA, right? I agree with you. Brilliant move by Ice Cube. And if she takes the $5 million, Chop, here's what I think they're going to do, man. They're just going to let her get off. The girl's got range. They can play pick and roll, stash in the corner, drive and kick. If she's hitting open jumpers, she's going to be a star out there. But that's the thing. I don't think she'll survive with the ball in her hands as a primary. I think she's got to be off ball for this to work. And I think somebody, when we were talking about it earlier today in the prop shop, I think if I'm not mistaken, Dean, and if we figure this out correctly, some of the top players in the WNBA make $250,000. Like, isn't that that's kind of like their top salaries? I mean, and yes, she's going to get her endorsements. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, that's where she get most of her money. Yeah, same thing.
But yeah, I think it's a neat situation, a neat opportunity. For her to go and get some money and do something unique. But do I want her to also go to the WNBA eventually? Yeah, I mean, let's see what she can do. Let's see if she can help some teams win some championships. But I say take the $5 million. I'm with Chop.
Yeah, the salary in WNBA, like you said, not that great. That's one of the reasons why Brittany Griner went over to Russia. You get more money over there to supplement your income and other players as well.
But the visibility of the league is getting better. WNBA competition is starting to pick up. It'll get there over time. It's just not there right now.
Yeah, it's still relatively new, like 20 years or so it's been around. All right, let's dive in. Maybe WNBA DFS was a thing. Is it still a thing? I never dabbled in it. I'm not sure if it still exists. It still exists?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I genuinely don't know if we have content for it. We probably do. I've not yet knocked it out, but
they got the daily fantasy for the cars that just drive around in circles all day. Like how can you have a scoring system for the cars that drive around? Of course they got WNBA. It's an actual thing going on there, man.
Yeah. No, I take that up with Stevie. I don't get it, but people love it, but that's fine. If you like it, by all means, have at it. Enjoy yourself. Let's knock it out. Will, did you partake? Did you actually consider giving screenshots as far as the slates, or do you want to pass as well? How do you see tonight's slate? Obviously, it's going to change. It's fluid, but as things stand right now, we're getting a lot of OKC and a lot of Atlanta, especially if you get Murray out. That'll really open up the floodgates. They will be down to, I think, 9 players. Atlanta against the Blazers, and the old perfect storm will be going on. And just so much usage. I don't know how you can work court IQ stuff because it will be without, obviously there's no Trae Young already. And if we lose Murray, then it will just be wild.
And there's no Jalen Johnson, which is huge. So
yes.
I think the slate hinges on. So yesterday I felt like there was some really important news that we were going to need. And obviously we ended up getting it. But yesterday was a smaller slate. Today with a larger slate, DeJounte Murray is probably the biggest news we have. I don't think AD's really big news because I think he's going to sit. Like, he played a lot of minutes last night. Like, just sit him, bring LeBron back.
Over 50.
That's a lot of minutes. So I think the DeJounte Murray news is the news that we need. I think we can build around anything else that happens after that, especially with SGA already being out. So I think if we get that news, then everybody knows we're going to be playing. We're going to be playing some Hawks. We're already going to be playing some OKC guys, and I think that's the slate, and then you build it from there. Despite this being a big slate, one of the things you mentioned, Dean, that I think was super important. Not a lot of studs. I do consider Anthony Edwards a stud at this present time. With no Karl Anthony Towns, he's just been popping off what feels like every single slate. He's been questionable every slate. He's pretty much played every slate. I'm expecting him to play against the Pistons. He's probably the stud of the night if I had to choose. And you can go from there. If DeJounte Murray plays, he's probably the stud of the night. And you go from there.
All right. One reminder, 6 o'clock, give or take, on the East Coast, we're giving away a week free of RG Premium. We're going to spin the wheel. How do you get yourself eligible? Jump in the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord. Live stream chat channel. Producer Steve, he said the most recent post, it says Wheel Wednesday. Just hit this avatar. You make yourself eligible. Throw your name up in the wheel. We're spinning about 40 minutes or so. Tomorrow, I want to mention baseball. Baseball tomorrow. I have the ability to give away several individual weeks of RG Premium during the show. Possibly 2, possibly 3, possibly 4. We'll talk about it, but you want to tune in. Myself and Blender will be on at 1:15. And then we're going to yield to crunch time. You get Dave Potts. Cheese is good. The best. Inarguably the best when it comes to baseball. And if he's not the best, Derek Carty's the best. That's a whole other conversation. It's always fun when the two of them get together. Carty's not on tomorrow, but he's on Friday for baseball. Our baseball team is spectacular. You got TJ coming on as well tomorrow. TJ's on crunch time as well. Again, no days off for TJ. He said that in chat. He's not messing around. He's got to pay for that baby somehow. You got Carty coming on Friday. Myself, Dave Potts, Blender, 1:15, special start time, 1:15, all the way up to 4 o'clock. I assume it'll take you up to 4 o'clock as far as the DK start. DK starts at 4. FanDuel starts at 3 because they included, one of the early games got wiped out. I think the other ones still exist. I'm not certain. Okay, first game we're talking about tonight is Will's terrible Charlotte Hornets. They're at home versus the Cavs. 206.5 is the total. The Cavs are 10-point favorites against the Hornets because they're terrible. Nothing new as far as the injury situation when it comes to the Charlotte side. LaMelo's done for the year. They won't tell you that. Martin, Curry, Williams, also probably done for the year. They won't tell you that. Max Strus might come back tonight for Cleveland, maybe. Donovan Mitchell still has that nose, so he can't play. He also has a knee. He's got a knee and a nose. Two things going on. I think I saw he's targeting Friday, potentially coming back, but not tonight. We care about tonight and tonight only. He's not playing tonight. Max Strus, maybe. Dean Wade, that is still out for Cleveland. Will, I'll throw it to you. Hornets. Do you want to play anybody in the Hornets in this 10 gamer? I don't against Cleveland. Probably it's a hard no for me, but feel free to change my mind. And this game as a whole is kind of a meh for me.
Yep, not playing anybody. Next game.
Catch me up game right out the gate. Chop, Cleveland, Charlotte.
Well, Dean, since Will didn't take much time, I'll take a second to I want to correct you on something you said a minute ago, real quick.
What's that? I said Charlotte's terrible. You're going to disagree with that?
No, I think that's a pretty accurate statement right there. But you said that if Cheese is good, isn't the best DFS MLB guy out there, it's Derek Carty. I'm going to disagree with that. Derek is great with numbers, love the projection system, but clearly, as far as just nose to the grindstone, you know what you're looking for in the DFS annals of MLB.
Careful with that one.
Yep, correct. And no, I said it, it's going right where I want it to go. Chris Kirkwood, aka Kirk Dees, aka Kirky, my guy Kirk.
Kirk's very good.
If Cheese isn't the best, Kirkwood is. He just doesn't get the credit for it because he doesn't strive to be credited for it. But that's the guy I want doing my content. I want Cheese. I want Kirkwood doing my content. Cardi great with numbers. Give me the projection. I'll look at that all day. That's the number one projection system out there, but Kirkwood's number two. At least
to be clear, I should have specified. I was thinking like we have a deep baseball team, but I was thinking like sport specific, right? And I know Cardi's kind of he's a Bo Jackson. He's a multi-sport athlete. He also knocks out football. He's at the Blitz. But Dave is like, he plays other sports, but he only does content for baseball. So I was thinking like sport specific. Dave and Cardi are just spectacular. But yes, and you know what, Chop, you're pretty good at baseball too. And Will's pretty good at baseball, and so is TJ. We have a really deep team. And one of these days, I don't know when, Kirkwood's going to give us his 2-point model. I think it's still in beta currently. But feel free to continue that.
And I will be since we had this catch-up game, I'm for sure chasing a live final seed. I hadn't done that in a while, but I've been holding.
Oh no, don't do it. Don't do it, Chief.
It's a bankroll suck. It's a bankroll suck.
Oh, don't do it, buddy.
I've been holding all my bullets.
Bad idea.
I've been holding all my bullets, man. Baseball though, here we come. I am locked and loaded, ready to go. And Chop, listen, I've made my money over the years, so I'm not losing any money by hopping in, and neither are you. Lifetime Chop isn't losing any money hopping in a live fight. In fact, folks, if you didn't know, like Head Chopper has won a live final. Chop, sometimes you might have to let him know. Like, yeah.
What live final the Chop? I forgot. I'm not being a jerk. I genuinely don't remember. I know you won $1 million a couple times. I think it was a live final.
Yeah, no, there was a live final NBA back in the day. When I used to really, I loved taking the trips, Dean. I loved the trips. I loved the atmosphere. It was all good. They changed it a little bit over the years. It became real business-like, and they got to jam 200 people in there. And I kind of lost me at that, but to each his own if they wanted to. Squirrel's the best at it, he needs to do a crash course, so he loves those live finals. He knows how to get the seats, but Chief, good luck to you, man. But man, that can drain you, brother. That can drain that bankroll.
Well, listen, it's on my bucket list to win one. And once, but I'm saying come in first. Once I win it, I might alter that a little bit, Chop, and say if I can come in top 3. I come in top 3, I'm done. Like, that's it. And I've made it to a couple of live finals. I just haven't come in like top 10. But yeah, if I make it and I hit top 3, I'm out. I've accomplished my goal. Then my next goal is to hit $1 million, which is pretty much anybody if you're playing it. I think Chop's done that twice, 2 or 3 times. That's what I'm telling you, man. Chop is secretly, and I've told him this before. Chop's like the secret GOAT. Don't really talk about it. He just, bakes it, goes on with his life. But the man has been doing this a long time, man. Much respect. Much respect.
Do we have anything else as far as Cleveland and Charlotte, or shall we move on? It doesn't really seem like
I'd say Darius Garland. The only guy in the game I'm interested in is Darius Garland.
Do we get an update? Ownership is still an hour behind. That'll be coming in soon. But if you're on Lineup HQ, feel free to give it a refresh. We got an update about 5 minutes ago or so. Still waiting for a lot of key pieces of news to drop. Who knows what we'll get it. Let's see. Caleb Houston officially playing. I love the Magic, man. Magic, they're giving us update about a player we don't care about. They already gave us our starting lineup. Marco Fultz, Suggs, Franz Wagner, Banchero, Carter Jr. If only every team can act like the Magic. That is the next team on layaway as well. It's Golden State back half of back-to-back after playing Miami last night. They're staying in Florida. 217.5 is the total. Golden State about a 5-point dog here. Who's in and who's out? Well, Gary Harris has that foot, so he's not playing for Orlando, but Caleb Houston, we're just told, is available. Doesn't really matter so much, but just acknowledge that. And Golden State has TJD, Trace Jackson Davis. He's questionable, missed last night's game with a knee. Kuminga played last night. He's got a knee. He is questionable tonight versus Orlando. Golden State, obviously, jockeying for position. Houston right in their tail. Chop probably rooting for the Magic tonight. He wants to watch the Rockets play a playing game, I imagine. It'll be fun. Those playing games are fun. Chop, what do you got as far as the Warriors and the Magic? I'll tell you, Cole Anthony was hitting some optimals earlier, and I just didn't like that. I know he had a good recent game, but I don't really like to chase the Magic guards, and it doesn't help that Houston's playing as well, or just at least available. I know he's on a guard, but just one more piece to work with to grab a few minutes. Magic versus the Warriors. Chop, what do you got?
Yeah, Anthony's still hitting a few optimals. He's cheap enough on DraftKings. Wouldn't play him on FanDuel, but he's cheap enough on DraftKings. I guess you could, what are the Warriors' second night of a back-to-back here? So he probably get a worn-down team, maybe. And Isaac, man, I never really want to play Isaac, and I'm probably not falling for it tonight. In fact, I know I'm not falling for it tonight, but he has been pretty consistent the last week and a half or so, 2 weeks. So he's only 4K still on DraftKings. I guess, man. You could do worse than that. Franz Wagner for you. He's 6,400 on DraftKings. That's a pretty decent price. He's a guy I could highlight a little bit. Just these aren't like first guys into your lineup. These are like near the end. How much salary do I have? And okay, these guys are okay to plug in. For Golden State, yeah, that's not. Orlando's a relatively tough team defensively, tough enough. Curry played 31 minutes last night. I kind of don't want to chase any of these guys on the second night of a back-to-back on the road against a tough team. So I'm going to pass in. Is Draymond going to get suspended tonight? Draymond, probably not tonight because it's too late, but he needs to be suspended after that disgusting act last night of clotheslining whoever that was coming through the lane. But
Patty Mills,
that's another story.
I think I missed that play.
Another cheap shot from Draymond. It was terrible, but he'll get his comeuppance.
I would never have guessed Draymond and cheap shot. Is this like because it's Draymond you're speculating, or was it clear and obvious that like something?
Oh, it was clear and obvious. So I would imagine at some point somebody's going to take a look at it, but it seems like it's too late today for anything to happen. But I'm not touching any Golden State guys anyway. The guys you would want to play are veterans, and I don't want them in this situation. Maybe Kuminga. He's a little bit.
What if I told you, Chop, not to cut you off? What if I told you Kuminga is now out, which kind of opens stuff up a little bit?
That's the only guy I would. Oh man, that's the only guy I would have
TJD is in, by the way.
Yeah. So okay, so him being out. Yeah, I don't know. That's probably just scratch him out of the pool, and I don't want anybody else. That's just the way it is.
Maybe Pod Strauss to start, right? I'm trying to think who would start in his place. He's not been as good of late. He probably overachieved earlier in the season. Let's see who we're projecting. If they've changed it over, we still have Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Kuminga, and Green. It'd probably be Pods. I guess it could be like Moody or who do you think, Will? Who do you think would jump in and start? And like, do we care? Because that's 30 minutes to go around, but they also have plenty of guys that delegate it to. That maybe it's just incremental bumps all around, and not one guy jumps up. What's your thoughts as far as Kuminga being out? Bad matchup, back to back.
I mean, they could start PJD and just bump Draymond to power forward and keep everybody else. Like they could absolutely do that, or they could stop Pods. But that would be my guess: Podziemski or TJD. That would be my guess. And I mean, on DraftKings, I get it. Like TJD is 50, 56. Pods is 49. I mean, I get it. I think Wiggins is okay at 52. Like I think he's cheap enough to squeeze in there because his minutes should be fairly secure with no Kuminga. I would assume he plays 28 to 30 minutes. So I'm okay there. And I know Markelle Fultz is 3.3K on DraftKings starting. I still think I like Cole Anthony better for what it's worth. But 3.3K, I mean, if I'm playing 150, he probably ends up in a few, but that's about it.
Yeah. And the other part of it is I don't know how much, depending on what news has come out, I don't know how much I want to lock into the 7 o'clock stuff that's sort of fragile. And I think, whatever, I suppose we can get Pod starting. We can get TJD starting. There's other guys that could start as well. I don't want to say they're fragile, but just sort of fine. And, Minnesota, it's possible, can tell us that Edwards is not playing and Gobert's not playing at 7:01. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, okay, I wish I didn't play too much Orlando and Golden State. They're taking on Detroit tonight. And, Edwards plays through everything, Wolverine, right? But, if there's ever a game they want to rest him, this seems like a great rest spot that they want to do so. They don't need Anthony Edwards versus whatever's left of the Pistons. And, multiple guys could become very, very interesting. And again, when will we get that news? I don't know. It's possible we get it in a half hour and you can figure it out then. But that's kind of where I'm at. And in crunch time, we'll figure it out when it comes to Golden State, their official lineup. But, Kirkwood says in chat, we want to get those likes up. I don't know if we're going to get 1,000, but if we get 1,000 likes, Chop, he's going to streak opening day at Fenway. He is determined to streak on opening day at Fenway. But can we get to 1,000, Chop? Is that something we can
Kirkwood has a kid.
What does that mean? You can still streak with a kid. You don't bring the kid out there with
you. You think Kirkwood had a C-section? He's not willing to show it off? Come on,
no. I'm saying Kirkwood's got his future to think about. Because
it's only one night, I think. In the slam.
Only one night.
Chief makes a point. Chief makes a point now. I always wonder about these old gals on OnlyFans. When they have kids, what happens? What happens? Everything is on the internet, brother. It's saved for history. What happens when those kids get older and they start Googling and they see mom on OnlyFans?
They got a 6-bedroom house.
I don't know. Kids make you think a little bit, man, before you go do something crazy.
All right. But do hit the like button either way. I don't know if we're going to get to 1,000. We'll try our best to go 1,000. And if you don't want to see Kirkwood do that, we'll stop at $9.99. Yeah. And depending on how many likes we get, that's how many, individual weeks of RG Premium we're going to give out on the wheel in about 25 minutes or so. If you get enough to producer Steve's liking, we'll give out 2 individual weeks of RG Premium. Anything else as far as Orlando and Golden State? I think we're moving on, right, boys? Moving on? Yes. The last of the 7 o'clock games, it is the Wizards. The Wizards at home versus the Nets. 221.5 is the total. The Wiz are 3-point dogs versus the Nets. Who's in and who's out for this one? Kuzma should be good to go. He's got that shoulder, but he's not in the injury report. Denny Avdia was kind of a late scratch last time with an illness. He had the fish. He should be fine tonight. No longer on the on the injury report. Same guys are still out. Tyus Jones and Koulibaly's done for the year, and Shamet, Omarui. And as far as Brooklyn, let's see. We got Cam Johnson still out. DSJ still out. Cam Thomas in, so we don't even think about the possibility of rostering Lonnie Walker the fourth, or any Lonnie Walker for that matter. KBD still out. Somehow achievement unlocked. I made money and cashed like a fair bit of lineups with Lonnie Walker last time, which makes you wonder what if didn't play that guy in a 0. Whoever you are, you got exactly as many fantasy points as Lonnie Walker did last game, going 0 for 6 and getting no stocks, boards, or assists. Will, what do you got? Washington and Brooklyn. This is another game that I don't love. I'm not really into. It's a 7 o'clock game. I can pass if I need to pass. What do you got?
Listen, man. One of the greatest phenomena of recording this show is if you get a chance to see the chat, like in between your analysis. These guys are wild, man. Oh, my God. These guys are wild. This is like the best part of waking up. Folgers in your cup. All right. The Nets, I think the Nets are okay, but I can't play multiple pieces together. Like, I don't feel bad playing Claxton or Bridges or Cam Thomas or Schroeder, but I'm not playing any of them together. Now, keep in mind, this is a huge spot against Washington. They should be able to put up some points here, but the Nets are such a weird team. I can't play them together. So I just put them all in the group 0-1 and go from there. And then similar to that, I think I do the same thing with the Wizards. I don't know which one of these guys. Well, I take that back. I do like Rashawn Holmes quite a bit at 4,700 on DraftKings because he's been playing really good minutes, and he's been producing. And they're going to continue to give him, 27, 28-ish minutes, and give him that opportunity to produce, I'm in. So I like him a great deal at that price on DraftKings at 4,700. A lot more expensive on FanDuel, obviously, but on DraftKings at 47, I think he's fine no matter what. And then everybody else, you can take it or leave it from Washington for me.
Projection team side note did update Golden State. Curry, 33 minutes, 31 for Thompson, 30 for Draymond, 29 Wiggins, 29 TJD. So he got a pretty nice little bump. And Pod's 26, Paul 25. So, yeah, I think TJD probably gets the biggest bump. But nothing you really have to play there. Anything there for you, Chop? Anything is interesting as far as the projection team? Looks like they're giving him the start based on the minutes, the 29 minutes. They're giving 26 to Pods. And then your thoughts as far as Brooklyn and Washington.
No, I'm not interested in Pods, but Brooklyn, Washington, no. I mean, I just feel like you're probably sitting here waiting until a few minutes before tip to make sure nobody is ruled out, and that's kind of what they're doing now, and I don't want to mess with that. I'll adjust for it if it happens, but otherwise, Brooklyn, actually the one guy that kind of jumping out to me is Nicholas Claxton. Pretty good price here on DraftKings, not so much on FanDuel, but pretty good projection. Obviously a good matchup, and he's just a guy who's a pretty big double threat, and so I could go Nicholas Claxton with a small, last man in kind of thing for Dennis Schroeder also. Schroeder.
Demolition Man, yeah, Dennis Schroeder. He's his role's pretty good. The matchup's pretty good as well. Chat's talking about Tristan Vukcevic. Like, unless he starts, I have zero interest. We're projecting 5 minutes. I know he's a prospect, and at some point you think they want to see him. Maybe like last game of the year, he plays like 35 minutes or something like that. But this is a 10-game slate. It's a big boy slate. I don't think we need to mess with any of that nonsense. Anything else here as far as Brooklyn and Washington, Chop?
No, I just get my analysis, Dean.
Okay, well, I just want to make sure. I just want to double check. If we skip it, all of a sudden the people are going to go wild about this. Cam Thomas apparently will not have a minutes limit this evening for Brooklyn. I was thinking about skipping Portland, Atlanta, and jumping back. We're probably not going to get news, and maybe we do. So just in case, we'll talk about the Clippers and the 76ers to the Doc Rivers Bowl. 215 is the total here. Clippers are 6-point favorites here. Another game that's, again, it's a 10-game slate, but it feels kind of smaller. Clippers are fully healthy, although Harden's kind of dealing with something, but he's not officially on the injury report. I think it's an elbow or something like that. Oubre's got that shoulder. He's questionable. Nobody healed. Otherwise, Philadelphia, Embiid's obviously out for the season. Well, he's out for a while, maybe the season. Who knows? Doesn't matter. He's out today. Covington and Melton are both still out. Will, this is another game. It's on the slate, but it's kind of being played in a forest. Does this game make a sound for you? Because there's no priorities. It's kind of uneventful. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, sure. You want to get to some maxi, I guess you can drop a 40 burger. Clippers have kind of stunk lately, but I don't really like this game.
Yep, not playing anybody.
This is why we're filibustering at the top of the show. It's a 10-gamer, but like a lot of these games are just sort of they're happening. But
I don't force the issue. Like they pay us the big bucks, to be honest. I do the same thing in baseball. If I'm not playing somebody, I'm not playing them. And if they decide they want to play Paul George or Kawhi tonight, it's really no problem at all. Like I say this all the time. One of my good mentors in the industry from afar, JM to Win, said this a long time ago. The best way to be contrarian is to think for yourself. And so my thoughts are I'm not playing anyone from this game, but your thoughts, you may see something that suggests Paul George is going off for 60 today. And if so, that is no problem. I'm going to choose to, put my resources in other games tonight, though. So I'm Xing off a lot of these things.
Several people pointing out in chat that it's a James Harden revenge game as well. Not sure how vengeful Harden is. He's played for a lot of teams at this point now, right? He's one of the better players to play for like 6 teams. Is it 6? It's got to be getting there, right?
Okay,
Chop.
Houston, Brooklyn, Philly,
Philadelphia,
the Clippers.
You said the Rockets?
Yeah, OKC, Houston, Brooklyn, Philly, Clippers, 5 teams.
All right. Well, he's got one more in him. He's got one more. He'll play for the Suns in a couple of years. There'll be a reunion with Kevin Durant. Chop, what do you got? I mean, is this game as unappealing for you as it is for us?
No, it's not very appealing, but I would say that, there was some comments in chat earlier. Can we get on with the games? Can we get on with the analogy? Now we're sitting here, we'll be trying to kill time now at the end because this stuff just doesn't need to be talked about very much, right?
But Chop, if they let us do our jobs, clearly we know when it's a slate where we got to get hammered this thing, and when we don't.
We'll get through 10 games. Y'all just kick back and enjoy the ride. But
did we miss the Nets, by the way? We're being told in chat the Nets. Did we forget the Nets for Harden?
No, he said Brooklyn. He said Brooklyn.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. I'm being yelled at in chat.
Philly is, man, I think they're competitive in this game, and that's fine. That'll keep it close. I really can't see like playing any of the guys right here at these price tags. For the Clippers, on the road, I probably don't want to play them except for that hard. They stole my thunder on the Harden thing. Going back to Philly now, I think he embraces being a villain and the way they're going to boo him. So I would imagine he's probably a guy who's going to be a threat to have a good all-around game. So he's the one guy on that side that I could see playing.
Does he get booed? He gets booed there for sure?
Absolutely. After trying to force his way out like that, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Listen, Daryl Morey played his part in this thing, though, I think. I mean, it's coming out now about some weird things. He said even CP3 Chop came out and mentioned some things about old GM Daryl Morey. So,
well, listen, I knew Morey was a snake from back when he left Houston. I knew he was
Houston
a snake.
Days.
Yeah, I knew he was a snake. Yeah. So that's good. That's good for him.
All right, Dean, do not play Daryl Morey tonight.
You reap what you sow.
We're moving on from Clippers and Philadelphia. And another total, it's just sort of like in the dirt, right? New York at Toronto, 211.5 is the total. Just, nothing to see here. Well, I guess there's players we can actually roster in this game. What we're expecting Mitch Rob to come back tonight. We haven't seen him for months. Mitch Robinson, not expected to start, but it's Tibbs. You never really know, but I assume they kind of baby him from the start here. Toronto, legit tanking, 100% tanking, like it happens anyway, but they've done an incredible job. I think they've lost 11 losses in a row. Just spectacular. Spectacular work by Toronto. Tricky is, the thing is that they're right behind or right in front of, depending on how you look at it. Portland and Charlotte are also spectacular tankers. Just really, really bad basketball teams. Combined, they've lost 23 total games. Toronto's lost 11 in a row. They want to keep their pick. It is top 6 or top 7 protected. A part of the, I think the Jakob Poeltl trade, if not mistaken. So they absolutely want to lose. It should take care of itself because they're terrible at basketball and without a lot of players. They're giving conditioning tags again to RJ Barrett and quickly. Like, come on. Jonte Porter, of course, he's not playing basketball tonight for reasons. Scotty Barnes is out. No Poeltl, no Boucher. New York still without Randall. Alec Burks officially questionable. Mitch Rob coming back tonight. OG Anunoby. The revenge will have to be on layaway. No revenge for him because he is still out. Cannot face his former team. But we know this Toronto team is horrific here. Will, what do you got as far as New York? How many minutes are we actually giving Mitch Rob? Can't be many, right?
I think it was 10 to 12 when I looked earlier today, unless it updated.
Yeah, we're giving him 12. Yeah, okay. 12 minutes. Yeah. None of them coming from Josh Hart. He's projected for 40.
Dean, so here's the difference between the Knicks and these other stupid teams. They are going to get their minutes. Like, Brunson's going to play close to 40. McBride is going to play close to 40. DiVincenzo is going to play close to 40. Josh Hart's going to play close to 40. Hartenstein probably won't. He'll probably be around 28. But that's the difference between the Knicks and the Clippers and the Sixers. They might be up 15, 20 points with 8 minutes left and still be playing. So I'm fine with sprinkles of Brunson, McBride, DiVincenzo, Hart, and Hartenstein. I'm fine with all of these guys. I'm not saying we need to load up on them all together. I don't mind 2 Knicks in a lineup, though. And it feels, maybe it feels kind of yucky because of how you feel like the game may go. But, I mean, if they blow this team out, that means nothing. Tibbs is going to keep these guys out there running and scoring fantasy points. So I like the Knicks because of the situation.
I talked about the other day where it was a 16-point lead with 2 minutes and 10 seconds to go. A timeout. Game's halted. 16-point lead. And McBride still played the last 2 minutes of the game to play all 48 minutes. Just Tibbs is a madman. Chop, what do you got here? New York and Toronto.
Yeah. So to reiterate what Chief said, the minutes thing is pretty hilarious. So, these guys are obviously in play for New York. Josh Hart last night played 40 minutes, Dean, last night. 40 minutes. And the game was in hand to start the fourth quarter, basically.
That's what I'm saying, Chop. It's crazy.
So, yeah, you can play them all. Miles McBride, he doesn't come off the floor, man. Now, I get it because he's like a backup, and once everybody gets healthy, like he's not a part of the rotation anyway, but he won't come off the floor. DiVincenzo plays a ton. These guys are all in play right here because of that. Even if Toronto doesn't keep it close, I think we've seen it doesn't matter. They're still going to get their minutes, except for Brunson's the only one who may get a little bit of rest, but that's still 30-plus minutes if you believe in that. For Toronto, Gary Trent Jr. is going to project well here, mid-level price. We got a pretty decent projection for a $4,100 salary on Freeman Liberty. And Notorious, put him in his core today. So if Notorious puts him in there, I gotta look at it. I gotta observe it. And I guess you could go that route if that's what you're feeling. 10 games, we'll see what other value we can extract. But I think there's something to this game. There's a lot of injuries on the Toronto side. You can play some of these guys, and like I've mentioned some of them. And then New York's going to get just a ton of minutes for the guys, especially if this game stays within 20 points in the fourth quarter. Like we're going to get a ton of minutes. So this is a pretty good game.
Chop, give it a refresh. He's kicked him out. Freeman Liberty no longer in cores and then the Notorious score. Yeah, he wasn't going to stick around all day. He was somebody who looked okay earlier, but
he still doesn't
he's not
look terrible
to play.
Nah, but if 25 points the other night, 4,100 still. You only got a $200 kickoff. There could probably be worse plays that we'll talk about, but if Notorious is off of him now, I guess I'm off of him too.
Well, he's out of his core. For what it's worth, 2 out of 3 players in the core are on New York. The aforementioned Hart and his 40 projected minutes, and the aforementioned McBride and his 42 projected minutes, which is completely bonkers. What are the odds on like Hart to get a triple-double? I think he has 6 on the season, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he gets his 7th tonight.
Oh, how about let's do a parlay, Dean. James Harden triple-double, Josh Hart triple-double.
Oh, why do you think Harden is going to get a triple-double? Okay. I
think he's going to be out there a long time. I think he's going to be I think he's going to have a little fire tonight going back to Philly. I really do.
Okay, he's going to get up. By the way, that's a crazy. You can get the odds you can get on that probably pretty amazing. Pulling it up on the fly. Chop, I only have one option down here. I guess I'm the only one with the live sports book, right? The Chiefs in South Carolina, no sports gambling there currently, and nothing in Texas as well.
Not officially, anyway.
Well, yeah, if you know a guy who, the bartender, who knows? But I gotcha. You got Prize Picks and Underdog and things like that, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That pick six got a lot of fun things I get involved in. So
let's hope we get to keep the player props, man. People are trying to ruin it for us, man.
You're right about it, Chop. You're right about it.
Yeah, we're on the right game for that conversation, but we don't. It's a 10-game slate. We don't have time to get into all that. But I have not yet to play the pick six on DK. I don't have. It's not available for me in Florida. But I hear it's pretty interesting. A pretty interesting strategy to dig into. But McBride looks good. Hart looks spectacular. Anything else we should mention here as far as New York and Toronto, or shall we move on? We're moving on. So we're going to talk about Atlanta. I tried to buy some time, but and get some news on DeJounte Murray. 7:30 game, so maybe we get it at 6 o'clock. A lot of times you get it 90 minutes before. Maybe we get it at 6 o'clock. 217.5 is the total, despite the fact that they're missing a lot of players. Atlanta is a 11-point favorite here versus the Blazers, because the Blazers are terrible at basketball. DeJounte Murray is currently questionable. That is a very big deal. There's already no Okongwu. There's no Trae Young. Jalen Johnson's got that ankle. Griffin's out. Bay's out for the season. Buffkin's got a toe, so he can't play. And as far as Portland, questionable DeAndre Ayton, questionable Thibault, doubtful. Jeremy Grant's got that hamstring. Simons is out with his knee. Man, the Scoot thing, I can't. They're benching him with 3 fouls, which is like the dumb. They're down 20 points, and he's got to go to the bench. What are you doing? Like, who cares? Let him foul out. I don't want to go on a rant, but I can't believe they're benched. He played like 20 minutes last game because of foul trouble. What happened? Okay, he fouls out, and what? You still lose the game by 30? Who cares? All right, don't get me started, Chop. Portland, Atlanta, a lot of if-then stuff here, but like I don't get what the Blazers. They keep starting 5 starters. Is the other thing they're doing? No. Of course they're starting 5 starters, 5 rookie starters, because they have a lot of rookies these days. Yeah, Chop. Atlanta looks good, and they'll look ridiculous if Murray's out. I have an if-then. We'll talk about it in a second. What do you got?
Dean, there's a college coach who's a former mathematician. Okay, coaches for Alabama now, and they ask him why you don't take your guys out with 2 fouls in the first half, because in the college it's weird. Like everybody, you get 2 fouls in the first half, you got to go to the bench, you got to sit down. You don't want to pick up. I don't know, like there's this some arbitrary line there. At halftime, like if you got 2 before half, you're so much better shape. And they asked him, and he just he's a former math guy, and he says you're going to play your minutes anyway. You're going to foul. Whatever. He had a good explanation. You ought to Google it. Nate Oates. He had a good explanation for it. But yeah, I agree with that one.
It's that old school dumb mentality. It's like punting on 4th and 1. Like Troy Aikman, you got to punt. You got to bury the defense. It's like no, you go for it in 4th and 1.
Get you some field position, Dean. But
yeah.
So Atlanta, I actually think Atlanta comes out here and tries to win this game, and so everybody's going to play. I think Murray's going to play. I might be wrong about that, but and they'll punt the game tomorrow night, which is probably a less winnable game than tonight. So I think we see Murray, and I like Murray if he plays. I like him quite a bit. I actually think, I kind of wrote up the Fernando situation. Like if he is going to be chalky, right? I don't know. Actually, is he?
It looks like it. Like things can change. He was certainly chalky earlier in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, if he's going to be that big a chalk, I could get a little leverage with Capella and hope that things break correctly for the fouling on Fernando and Capella playing maybe a couple extra. Capella's still getting there, and he's not even playing that many minutes these days. So imagine if he gets like 30 minutes, he's going to be in great shape in this game. So I like Capella. Bogdanovich probably jumps out a little bit more. I think on FanDuel with that price tag, I don't have it in front of me, but I think on one of the sites he was a little bit better. But and Hunter's decent too. And so there's a lot of things. There's a lot of activity in this Atlanta lineup. I think they come out here and they play to win, and they do a good job. On the other side, Scoot Henderson's still pretty cheap, and this is definitely a premier matchup right here. So, Scoot Henderson's a guy I can run it back with, and that's probably it. I don't think I want to pay that. Aiden's Aiden's a great GPP play. Like he could drop 60, right? Like he's got that inning this year. He got that inning, and the price tag isn't terrible. But as far as like a core play, it's Scoot Henderson for Portland, and that's all for me.
Our if-then, by the way, Bogdanovich would get much better. He's already really good, but he would spike even more if we lose Murray. There would be 6 players that would be quote-unquote DK values if we lose Murray. Bogdanovich, Trent Forrest would be a big benefactor. Hunter, Fernando, Capella, Krejci, and same deal with FanDuel. There'd be 6 guys in Atlanta. Man, we shouldn't speculate as far as like how many if-then. If that situation comes up, we'll talk about it. Or crunch time will certainly handle it. I think you're supposed to split Capella and Fernando, like max 1. They're going to chop those 48 minutes. I think they're both certainly interesting. I like that take chop. What do you got here, Will? Atlanta, taking on the Blazers.
Yeah, man, DeJounte Murray's out in Atlanta. I mean, Bogdanovich, Hunter, Capella, Fernando, those guys, Trent Forrest, like you talked about, they're only going to increase in value. But that's also going to make me a little bit more interested in Portland. Atlanta being down those guys. Portland may, in fact, be able to keep it a little bit closer. A guy like Toumani Camara, who's not as popular, he's been playing a fair amount of minutes and actually been producing only 4,500 on DK. I don't hate getting him in. If this is more so if DeJounte Murray is out. If he's in, I still like him. If DeJounte is out, though, I kind of like him a bit more. Toumani Camara, and then you mentioned Scoot. I mean, at 6,100, getting the minutes, I think he'll be a fine play as well. If Aiden if Ayton does sit, I mean, we have to assume Duop Reith is going to start. I wish they would commit to giving him 30 minutes. They don't seem to have a commitment to doing that. And so at 5K, I think he's just okay. He could absolutely go out there and score 40, but I'd be willing to pass. But, the big thing here, DeJounte, we need to know if he's in or out. Whether he's in or out or not, Atlanta I still like them. If he's out, we're going to love them. And I think they'll end up being some really, really high-owned tournament pieces.
Yeah, Scoot only played 25 minutes last game, and you're not going to believe it. He did not foul out. He had 5 fouls, only played 25 minutes because of foul trouble, and they lost by 20. What is the point? And as Kirkwood in chat said, he stinks. Well, maybe he does, but find out, make sure, because what else are you doing? Banton has been spectacular too, coming off the bench as a 6-man. You mentioned the Reith thing. I think part of the reason why they don't give him a ton of minutes is because he's a 27-year-old rookie, right? So he's probably. This is the best he's ever going to be. There's probably no reason to develop him much further. I think he was an overseas guy. Okay. We have I guess it's 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock on the East Coast. We're probably going to bring in producer Steve here now to give away a week free of RG Premium. Hit that like button, and if you hit it enough times, maybe we'll give away 2 individual weeks of RG Premium. 4 more games on layaway. Crunch time coming in as well in about 15, 20 minutes. You got TJ Zwarych, Keith Keith. I was trying to say Ice, or his last name is Eyster, and I was combining those two things, and I got tripped up there. Keith and TJ, as well as Kevin Roth, coming in for crunch time. And, let's hit the like button so we can give out 2 individual weeks of RG Premium. Producer Steve, let's hook the people up. Hopefully the music is approved by both Will and Chop. They get very technical, very critical of the music. And I think Steve should be coming in here momentarily. Waiting for him. I'm buying time. Maybe he's still compiling names. I'm not really sure. Should we knock out one more game?
I am still getting names, but I'll be good in 2 seconds.
Okay. All right. So I wasn't certain. Do you want me to do one more game, or you want to just let's knock it out now?
No, let's knock it out now. What are the likes at? Can you tell me while I'm still adding them?
I don't have the thing up. Will how many likes we have? We have enough likes for the people to get to 2 individual weeks, or just 1? Are we happy with the likes? Maybe Chop knows?
Let's see. I'll check right now. I just got the names in.
I do not know.
We are only at 84. We need at least 16 more.
We got to get to it.
Operations platform. Bill gives you real-time visibility into company expenses all in one place.
What's going on here?
I don't know.
It's not me.
Nobody wants to vouch for that random ad or whatever just popped up.
That to me sounds like an ESPN thing.
Yeah.
J3, I'm very disappointed, J3. J3 saying we're at 1,000 likes. He's trying to get our boy Kirkwood locked up for a night away from his kid. J3, be better, J3. We want dads at home with their kids, not locked up in the slammer.
All right, while we wait, I guess, to see if we can get a few more. Let's spin the first one. I'm going to shuffle it up.
Should mention this is not just for basketball. It's all sports.
We're at 102, by the way, Steve. 102.
Oh, awesome. All right, cool. Gray Bill 720. All right.
And we're going to spin it one more time. What do you think? One more time, right? We're over 100. So let's give out 2 individual weeks. Let's hook the people up.
Yeah, we're at 105 now. We can do it. All right, let me shuffle it up. All right.
Everybody clap your hands.
Philly Laker 3.
How does that work? Right. He's a fan of both teams? From Philly? He likes the Lakers?
A big Kobe fan? I don't know.
Kobe was from Philly, right? I think
I think so. All right, congratulations, guys. I'll shoot you a message in the Discord.
If you did not win, you can get yourself some RG Premium tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to give away during the baseball show maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, possibly up to 5, depending on, for real. Going to give away some RG premium to the people. Baseball 115. We start 115 tomorrow. Or you can just buy yourself some RG premium. NBA, PGA, NCAA basketball, NHL, MMA. And of course, this is the right time. This is the right time to do it. All the sports in effect. Get yourself a 6-month combo sub, exclusive price, $469.99. That's a savings of $250 instead of buying it individually every single month. You're going to save $250 if you commit to 6 months. If you don't want to commit to 6 months, you don't like commitment at all, that's not your thing. Okay, fine. You want a small sample size? 3 days. 3 days, you get yourself a 3-day pass at $19.99. Have at it. We'll get the link in the description. The link will be dropped in the chat as well. $10 off scores and odds as well if you want to, partake in sides and totals and player props and things of that sort. Let's knock out these 8 o'clock games. It is the very first one we're going to talk about is Chops Rockets at the Thunder. 226.5 is a total. The Rockets are 4-point dogs here at OKC. Another game where it's going to be popular from a DFS perspective because there's no SGA. SGA not playing for the Thunder tonight. The only player out, but a big chunk of usage going bye-bye. Şengün, of course, not playing. He's got that ankle and a knee. Nothing new here. Cam Whitmore also out. Tari Eason out for the season. Chop, I will yield to you. Your Rockets taking on the Thunder. The Rockets trying to win and playing a really, really concise rotation against an OKC team that will be without their best player, one of the best players in the league. What is your assessment?
Okay, first, Dean, before we get to that, let's circle back to Portland. DeAndre Ayton is out, along with a couple of the guys that we kind of thought were out anyway. But Ayton being out opens it up for Banton and Reef maybe. So I think there's and then now Scoot Henderson's even slightly better play, So yeah, Portland's got a little bit of legs now. We can go that
Banton
route.
not starting, but that's not a shock. He was a 6-man last time. It's Henderson, Repair, Murray, Kamara, and Reef. Okay, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Now, let's see here. Houston and OKC. So OKC gets, these guys get a little bit of a bump now without SGA. I would say it goes in the order of who gets the biggest bump. I would say Giddey, Jalen Williams, then probably Wallace, and then Holmgren. I like them in that order. I like Giddey quite a bit as the salary is really down on – he's far less than the average cost of a player on DraftKings. So I like Giddey quite a bit in that situation. And Chet's a matchup nightmare, going to get extra shots. And Jalen is a really good player too. So Jalen Williams gets a big bump for me. And so on the Rockets side, man, I didn't like him a whole lot with SGA active.
Yeah.
I kind of like him a little bit more now. I do. I don't know who to pin it on. Because I'm not sure Jalen Green has, his price tag is really out of control on DraftKings.
Too much.
So I don't know if I can go that route. Fred VanVleet gives you a pretty solid game. Even if he's just scoring moderately, he's going to do other things. So he's okay. Amin's up there now. And so, Jabari 6,900, that's not an easy thing. And you got to deal with Chet bringing you out to the 3-point line and stuff. I'm just not in love with these price tags. So, but I could see it being a much more competitive game now, and it's a slightly better game for Houston. So you can play them, whatever you want to play. But I didn't mention Dylan Brooks. Maybe Dylan Brooks. He's the cheapest one, and man, he's
your guy.
Yeah. Oh man, I just forgot about it, Dean. And now you made me remember it again. Now I got to deal with it all over again in my head. God, unreal, Dean. You do that to me. But yeah, they're in play if you can find room for them. With these salaries, they're not jumping out to me. But the OKC guys that I mentioned, those 4 guys are really jumping out to me.
Jalen Williams, we're looking at like 40% ownership, just way too cheap. Giddey as well, about 35% ownership. Both those guys are going to be super popular. Will, your thoughts, and also a question in chat from Casey. Two really strong plays. Williams or Josh Hart? Who do you prefer amongst those two?
Williams for me, but that's just because of the vacancy of SGA. Josh Hart's still a really good play for the minutes, but I think Williams should be in a much more competitive matchup tonight than Josh Hart. Josh Hart, the Pistons should blow. I mean, the Knicks should blow out the Pistons. And once again, I still think Hart's going to get his minutes, but that's just my opinion. This OKC game, I mean, SGA not suiting up tonight. Giddey, Williams, Holmgren, those guys are going to be fine. They've got, Case and Wallace starting, or Kasan, however they pronounce it. I think it is Case. But anyway, Kasan, he's starting tonight. We think, and so the Thunder just have a lot of usage to go around. When I looked this up earlier today, Jalen Williams does actually lead the team in usage with SGA out at 29% or close to 30. So I do like him quite a bit, but I mean the ownership is reflected in that. I'm still not afraid to hop on. I'm not hopping off the Jalen Green train just yet. There are certain things I look for when I'm playing guys in this price range, and one of the things I look for is shot attempts. Jalen Green is the lights out right now in terms of how many shots he's taking. I mean, this man took 26 shots the last game, 22 the game before that, 22, 21, 20, 23. When you're getting that many shot attempts, I mean, and he wasn't even really efficient the last game. He shot like 9 for 23. If he shoots anything like, 12 for 22 or something, like the scoring just goes through the roof. I mean, he'll be at 30 plus real points, and now he just needs some peripherals. 6 for 26. Thank you, David. I thought it was 9 for 23, 6 for 26, whatever it was. He shot terribly. Any type of
9 for 26. 9 for 26.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was 9. Okay, thank you. So I was right, Chuck. Don't trust the chat with stats.
Does he get the torture chamber?
It won't matter, Dean, when you're taking that many shots. I'm not afraid of Lou Dort. But at any rate, that's my reason for still sticking with Green here, even with the elevated price tag. It's just that's a lot of shots, Dean. And I mean, he could get to 50 easily with any type of efficiency. So I like him. I do like Fred VanVleet as well. I'm okay with Jabari Smith in this spot, but this should be a competitive game with no SGA. So that's why I'm very interested in this one.
Okay. We got to pick up the pace a little bit. Lakers versus the Grizz. 223 is the total. Lakers back half of back-to-back traveling and played double overtime last night. Just an incredible game. LeBron expected to play. He didn't play last night. Anthony Davis played 51-plus minutes last night. Reeves played a bunch of minutes. Russell played an insane amount of minutes. I really think that we see Davis sit, but nothing official there. I'm assuming Davis sits, whether we get news or not, which I'm kind of asking LeBron. The Memphis side, we might see the season debut of Brandon Clark. Can't imagine he gets many minutes, but good for him for working his way back. Concher is doubtful. Williams is doubtful. Memphis, big old mess. Hard to say because you don't really know what they're going to do with their two-way players as well. But best we can do here, Chop, when it comes to the Lakers and the Grizz, what do you got?
Not very much. Assuming these guys are in, which right now we've got them projected in. I don't want the Lakers. I don't want any of them. Okay, we'll see what happens with Davis, but assuming that they're in, I don't want them. That's just, that's a little bit much. That was a tough game. That was a tough game last night. How many overtimes did they go? 2 overtimes or something like that?
2 overtimes. I don't have time to get into my overtime rant, but
I don't want
insane.
that.
It's insane that it's
so
5 minutes.
Assuming Davis suits up and plays and does something, and they are still trying to hang on to a playoff spot. Assuming he plays, I don't want any Lakers guys. Memphis, they're not healthy, but at least Bane's back and they got something there now to take away from all those guys who were really cheap and playing a lot of minutes. It's kind of spread out now, so they don't really appeal to me that much either. Maybe a GPP flyer would be on Jaren Jackson, but that's about it in this game.
Will?
Yeah, I don't hate LeBron. I do think AD is going to sit, so I don't hate LeBron, but I'm not really playing the Lakers, man. They're going to be tired, and I don't really want to play anybody from Memphis. Another catch-up game.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm playing LeBron in my main team if we see Davis sit. Pacers, Bulls, 235 is the total. Pretty big total. High and tight, right? Bulls are 2-point dogs here. As far as who's in and out in this one, Caruso is officially questionable. He seems to play through everything, though. They just kind of manage him. TJ McConnell, who rarely misses a game, is questionable with his ankle. And Neesmith is also questionable. Matthew Renaud is out for the season. I didn't see any news as far as those guys. No updates. 8 o'clock game. It's weird, Will, because, good environment, high, tight, and not a lot. I think it's an interesting, tournament pivot stuff here because I don't think we're getting a lot of ownership in this game at all. White is probably my favorite player in this game, Kobe White, but I don't see any priorities. What do you got when it comes to the Pacers and the Bulls?
Yeah, I don't think we have priorities, but this is a really good game. Love Halliburton. Love Pascal Siakam tonight. This man, I mean, he's starting to play really well down the stretch here, Dean. putting up some really nice performances. Like Halliburton and Pascal. Don't hate Aaron Nesmith. Has been a little sporadic with the fantasy scoring, but when he's going to get enough minutes, I still think he's in play. And then from the Bulls, I think you can play Kobe White, you can play Ayo, DeRozan, or Vooch, but I don't think you can play all of them together. But I do think, one of these guys gets there. But do love the game environment. I do like the pieces, but I think these are fillers around other things you're doing.
Chopper?
Yeah. All right. So first of all, Dean, why did the Pacers trade Buddy Hyde, man? They needed to keep Buddy Hyde, their aspirations of playoffs. But I'm
He's
with
probably
Chief.
expensive. I don't know.
You're trying to make the playoffs, man. And now, now you've lost what's his name for the year, so you really used him. But DeRozan and Vucevic are fine. Those are the two guys for Chicago I would highlight. It's a really good game environment. We've passed over a lot of games, so you got to go somewhere. So those are two guys for Chicago I like, and I like the Pacers side too. I do like Siakam, and I like Miles Turner quite a bit. He's faced off against Chicago 3 times this year, 2 40 burgers and a 36 on DK. So he's got he likes to match up with Vooch. So I'm okay with Turner.
Last one, it's kind of tricky. I don't really know what we can do with this one as of right now. We kind of hinted at it several times throughout the show. The T-Wolves are, 16, 17-point favorites against the Pistons. 216 is the total. Minnesota doesn't really rest Edwards. They're very happy to put him on there. It's questionable all the time, and he always plays through it. He's got that finger. But if you want to rest him, it seems like a spot to do it because the Pistons are terrible. We know Cat is out. Gobert also has that rib, so there's a chance – if Edwards is out and if Gobert is out, I think Naz Reid is perfectly fine right now, but he can really get elevated to top play on the slate. If both those guys happen to sit, stuff can open up. Detroit, Duren's available. Sasser's available. Ivy's questionable. Cunningham is questionable. They're going to lose this game. So injury management for Cunningham, whatever. You're going to lose, but I don't know, whatever. They're playing games. Who cares? I really can't give analysis to the Detroit side outside of I'm not going to be playing Evan Fournier or Troy Brown if 3 guys are out. If Metu starts, I guess he's interesting. He kind of jumped in and jumped out. Duren's $7K. Wiseman's up to $6K now. So even still, even if they lose guys, I'm still not interested, especially with Duren back. Chief, Detroit, Minnesota. Yeah, give me what are we monitoring, right? Because do you have a read as far as it's nothing for
I don't care about the Pistons. So let me just get that out of the way. I don't care about the Pistons. At the present moment, I like Anthony Edwards tonight. If he's out, then we get all kind of interesting value and things that we can do. Obviously, Nickeil Alexander-Walker may be in play. Monty Morris may be in play. Kyle Anderson may be in play. If you get that. If he's in and Rudy Gobert is out, then obviously Naz Reid is in play. Kyle Anderson may be in play. But the big one is Anthony Edwards. Obviously, you can play Mike Conley as well if Anthony Edwards is out. I personally think Ant is going to play. I'm prepared to play him tonight. But that's just the way I've been approaching. They haven't sat him really hardly all year in any of these questionable spots, so I'm not expecting them to do it tonight, even though they're playing the Pistons. I get it. He just hasn't sat all season, Dean. I'm just not expecting them to rule him out tonight.
Chop, crunch time's knocking on the door. Anything you want to add here? Any sort of angle you want to work when it comes to Minnesota and Detroit?
None. I don't really have much interest in this game.
Well, what if if we lose some guys all of a sudden?
I thought you wanted me to wrap it up fast, Dean.
Well,
I would say, so here was my
there's a qualifier.
Number one, Detroit's team total tonight is they're on the road against Minnesota, a good team, and they're a bad team. That roughly 100 team total is actually not even the second or third lowest one on the slate. That's how bad the slate is, right?
That's how bad the Hornets are.
Yeah, there's another team that I think is below 102 tonight. So it's a terrible slate, but so I don't have any interest in Detroit from Minnesota. So if everybody goes, if Gobert's healthy, Edwards play, they're all play, nobody for me. If Edwards sits, I bump up Kyle Anderson and Jaden McDaniels. If Gobert sits, I bump up Naz Reid. If they both sit, then you can play any of the guys who they label as starters when a game comes around.
Let's go ahead, bring crunch time in. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. He's officially chief meteorologist Kevin Roth tomorrow. We'll talk to him about that as well as Keith and TJ. Here comes crunch time. All right, Kevin Roth, by the way, you got a reprieve from baseball because they already knocked out a couple of games for you. A couple of games that look kind of dicey. I know you wrote them up. I was speaking them earlier. And Braves bye-bye. There's another 2 games by, right? But there's still something.
Philly and New York. Yeah, the Philly and New York games. But I had those. Those were locks. They just took away my glory with the early postponement.
Yeah. You absolutely want to be here for baseball for a multitude of reasons. The analysis, we kind of talked about it. Dave Pott's going to be on tomorrow. Derek Carty's on Friday. TJ's on both days. I'm on at 1:15 with Blender. We're giving away premium as well. Depending on we're going to give away a couple, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, possibly 5, depending on individual weeks to RG premium. Baseball season kicking off tomorrow. Super, super excited about that. But we also have to say congratulations to TJ. Yep. TJ, no days off for TJ. I don't know if you have time to get into your whole story, but congratulations to TJ and all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada.
Thank you. Yeah, the whole city of 300,000 people is definitely much better now that my baby is born. But Natasha Hope Zwarych is with us. She is well. Mom is well. We just got home from the hospital about 3 hours ago. And so we're ready to rock now on 2 crunch times tomorrow. We're ready to roll.
Did you name her after the Black Widow?
I was gonna ask
that's what I was going to ask too.
Not directly, no. That we both like the name, and that had something to do with it, but it's not directly after the character.
Okay. Is there a superhero named Hope as well? I'm trying to think. This is not my area.
That one has a bit more of a. I won't go into the details of that one. But
okay.
That one has a bit more of a personal, sentimental value to it.
Or I was going to go with the Boris and Natasha angle, which if you have a boy on layaway, maybe you're working a little Boris and Natasha. But all right, we got to give our feel it in the plums play before he steps out and make way for crunch time. Will, you set the bar. Who are we feeling in the plums tonight?
Going to go off the board here because everybody's probably going to be using someone from the Hawks game or this Rockets game. I think Anthony Edwards is going to play, and I think he's going to destroy the Pistons. I'm going with Edwards.
Conchar, Vince Williams out. Brandon Clark available to make his season debut. I cannot imagine he plays many minutes, but good for him for working all the way back with his Achilles. Chop, what do you got?
I'm going to the Atlanta game. Clint Capella. I think Clint Capella is going to have a big, big game tonight.
I'll go off the obvious Atlanta, off the obvious OKC, and I'm going to say LeBron. LeBron saw what Anthony Davis did last night. I think Anthony Davis sits tonight. We'll see. I hope that news comes out after 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30. We'll see. But LeBron is somebody that will be playing, taking on Memphis. That's it. Crunch time is starting now. You got Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. You want to tune in tomorrow, get his weather reports, some other stuff that's going to be dicey baseball-wise. And TJ, as well as Keith Roth. Take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. 2 of the sharpest minds in the biz hanging out with me. We got Keith Eyster, a.k.a. the Iceman, in the house. What up, Ice?
Not too much. We are on the eve of the baseball season, so definitely excited about that. Been knocking out some baseball content today. Nice to change it up, but we still have some NBA to talk about. Wild slate tonight, as always. Tons of injuries to deal with. Still waiting on a couple of things, but everything is really condensed today. Last game starts at 8 o'clock Eastern, so don't have to worry about waiting into the late night games. We should have the new. It may not all come by lock, but should have it shortly thereafter at least.
Okay, very nice. And agreed. As I was doing, some MLB forecasting and sports betting stuff, I was like, it's kind of fun. I missed this. We'll see how I feel, 3 months from now. But I did enjoy it. Certainly looking forward to opening day. But really, we've been burying the lead. We got to talk to TJ, the new dad in the house.
Congrats, man.
TJ, is the baby available? Can you steal the baby for just a quick show?
I believe I could probably do that for sure.
Steal the baby.
I'll text my wife. I don't want to yell into it. I don't want to yell into the mic, so I'll fire my wife a text, and we'll get her to come say hi.
See, there's this narrative that's been going on that is maybe the most reliable narrative we use, and it's the new dad narrative, right? Like if someone's a new dad, they hit a home run or they get a triple double. Do you feel you are going to take down a GPP with new dad narrative on your side, with dad strength?
I do. I hope so. And I was honestly, this is not answering your question. On a side note, I haven't taken my ADHD meds, but the dad strength thing, I was thinking about it. And just like on one day from like carrying her around and just like holding stuff, like there's just different parts of my arm muscles that have not been used in a really long time. So I'm very excited for the dad strength to build. And yeah, hopefully we can turn it right into a GPP win as well. Not going too crazy, playing 20 lineups today. But it was fun to just be back in my own bed. Baby was sleeping, mom was sleeping, and just like turned on GrindersLive, listened to some NBA stuff, and was cozy and stress free. It was nice.
Yeah, I love to hear that, man. I'm just thrilled for you. I will say, like, start doing yoga or some sort of back stretches, because you have never bent down so many times in your entire life as you're about to for the next few years. So do be prepared for that. Let's dive into the slate here. We've got 35 minutes here until lock. I don't know which of you is cash and which is tournaments. Who wants to claim it?
I'll take the cash.
Keith's got cash.
Okay,
Yeah.
Very good. All right, well then, Ice, why don't you give me the rundown? You mentioned it is a condensed slate. What do we have here? What's cooking?
Yeah, so stuff that's already broken. Atlanta is shorthanded already without Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, as well as Okongwu and Sadiq Bey, like just really shorthanded. And then they additionally have DeJounte Murray questionable as well, which could really open up some massive value on Atlanta. So DeJounte, one of the big things we're waiting on. Oklahoma City is the other team with some value already. SGA has been ruled out. So definitely looking like some good plays there. Portland is shorthanded a little bit as well. Ayton and Tybal just got ruled out shortly before we came on. They are already without Simons, and Jeremy Grant and Brogdon have been out for a while. Golden State's without Kuminga, not too big of a deal there. Toronto is shorthanded again without Quickly, Barrett, Barnes, and Pirtle, but that situation has been around a couple of games. Biggest thing we're still waiting on outside of DeJounte is Anthony Davis, listed as questionable, played a ton of minutes last night. Would be pretty surprised if he suits up for this one. So hopefully we get that AD news. That is definitely going to matter for cash games and for tournaments.
Nice.
Minnesota has Edwards and Gobert questionable as well. Edwards generally plays through everything, so it'd be a bit of a surprise if he sits. Gobert a little bit closer to 50-50, I would say, but leaning towards him playing as well. But those would matter as well.
Okay. It seems like there's a lot. It seems like there's going to be a lot of value and a lot of good plays. So with that, I think we dive into it. And as TJ, I saw him put the bat signal up. Is the baby sleeping? Or we getting the thumbs up or thumbs down on the baby show?
I haven't gotten a response yet, so I don't think
right.
she checked her phone, and I just yelled upstairs, but I don't know if she heard it.
All right. All good. Okay. Well, let's dive into the slate here. Ice, where are we starting? We like to begin, of course, with FanDuel Cash.
Yeah, so over here on FanDuel, we'll take a look at Noto's core plays first. He has Josh Giddey tagged, just 6,600, no SGA. Has point guard, shooting guard eligibility, probably playing him in your shooting guard slot. Miles McBride has been playing an absolute ton of minutes, so just 5,900 here on FanDuel. A little bit harder to get to him on DK, but with a guy playing that much minutes, really safe floor for cash games. And Josh Hart on that same team, both of them having an incredible matchup against the Raptors, who have been abysmal on defense here recently. We know Josh Hart has that triple-double upside as well here recently. He's another guy that plays 40-plus minutes, so good floor on those Knicks guys for sure. Going position by position here, starting at the point guard position. I mentioned both McBride and Giddey. They have point guard eligibility, so you could play one of them here. They both Giddey has the shooting guard as well, so you might want to do that in favor of a guy like Scoot Henderson, who looks really good on a shorthanded Portland team. Great matchup against Atlanta. Matchup gets even better if DeJounte sits, obviously. I would go McBride and Henderson here. If you want to go Darius Garland, I think he is okay. I don't love playing guys in the early games if I can avoid it, just because I think that AD news is coming and I want to have as many spots available to adjust. So I do prefer Scoot over Garland, but Garland is cash viable. At the shooting guard position, mentioned Giddey already. Kason Wallace is looking like a really strong value as well, projected to get a nice little minutes bump. Should have a little more usage as well without SGA. If you want to spend up, I think DeJounte Murray, if he plays, is really interesting. No Trae Young, no Jalen Johnson. He's had an incredible ceiling without those two guys. Anthony Edwards is in an awesome spot against Detroit. Another guy who is listed questionable here, but would certainly have interest there. But I think you're generally spending down here. Cason Wallace and Josh Giddey being the two guys in that mid-range. At the small forward position, Jalen Williams should have a ton of usage without SGA tonight. So he is sort of jumping off the page as a value here, even all the way up at 7,900. And then Josh Hart as a core tag, definitely a guy that you want to get in there at 7,800. If for some reason your build leads you down a different path, a guy like DeMar DeRozan would be viable. Do want to note Bogdan Bogdanovic would be a huge beneficiary if DeJounte Murray gets ruled out. So definitely want to keep him in mind. And DeAndre Hunter at just 5,900, another guy who would benefit greatly if Murray gets ruled out. Both would be cash game locks, in my opinion, if we do get that DeJounte news. At the power forward position, if you need to shift Hart to power forward, you can certainly do that. Bruno Fernando is really cheap, has had a solid role without Onyeka Okongwu. He looks potentially even better without DeJounte as well. Jared Allen is kind of popping into some optimals. Another guy that I feel like I don't necessarily need. I can wait on some news there. I think some better stuff opens up. A guy like DeAndre Hunter, I think, is cash game viable already. And if DeJounte gets ruled out, he's going to look incredible. So definitely saving some spots for that type of news. Siakam is the other guy who you could consider in that 8K range. Don't necessarily love the matchup against Chicago, but he's shown off a little bit of ceiling here recently. And then at the center position, I like Gobert if he plays. The matchup against Detroit is incredible. You do have the benefit of being able to pivot down to Naz Reid if Gobert gets ruled out. So even though you have that questionable tag, I feel okay plugging Gobert into my cash game lineup. If I'm not doing that, I'm probably going down to Clint Capella. I like the spot for Capella already with no DeAndre Ayton there. And if Murray misses, should get a usage bump as well. I think it's basically between Gobert and Capella. If you want to play Bruno at center, I'd be fine with that if a power forward value opens up. But I think those are the cash game guys here.
Okay, very good. TJ, let's kick it to you. Kind of your overall thoughts as you build the tournament. And then if you wouldn't mind going position by position for me.
So I'm planning on just trying to be heavily overweight right now in tournaments on the situation where we have injury news. And I don't even know necessarily which way it's going to go. There's still a fairly hefty amount between Atlanta and the Lakers and who else are we still waiting on here? Minnesota. There's enough that I could just completely swap around lineups after the fact anyways. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my plan here, is to get very heavily overweight on those three teams and those situations, so I can differentiate as we find that. And so as it stands, some of my most highly owned players are Naz Reid. Like Naz Reid, I think is my second highest owned guy right now, and maybe that'll swap around. But I like the idea of just getting heavily overweight on those later games so that we can still swap around. The only one I have a max one rule set for. I have no Cleveland or Charlotte players in my pool. I have a max one set to Golden State and Orlando, and I have a max one set to Brooklyn and Washington. And then no one from Clippers and Philadelphia. No one from Toronto. Max one on Indiana, max one on Chicago, max one on Detroit, max one on Memphis. So it's like there's a lot of different I'm really trying to heavily target those teams where we're going to have the potential injury news later on. In terms of position by position, sure. Point guard position, if DeJounte Murray is in, obviously he's the top spend on the slate. If not, I don't really think I'm going to go for the punt type plays on Atlanta. It's more going to be just heavily on the Bogdanovic and those other mid-range plays for me. Scoot Henderson and Josh Giddey are both great. They're going to be highly owned. I like Delano Banton as a pivot off of Scoot Henderson in tournaments today. Sorry, I'm just adjusting for some FanDuel prices here. Make sure I don't miss anybody. Miles McBride, 5,900 going up against Toronto. I think could end up getting steamed down a little bit because of all these other great plays that have popped up and all the other potential injury news that we have here as well. But for the most part, point guard, I don't think I'm going to differentiate all that much. I'm going to try and stick with those top guys. Another one I do like, though, and it will be very different today, speaking of trying to get heavily overweight on the injury situations, is D'Angelo Russell. He's been out a little bit lately. We're going to get Anthony Davis probably out. That's kind of what we're expecting. We don't know for sure, but we think he's maybe going to be out. And so I like getting some D'Angelo Russell because even though they're polar opposite positions, that's a lot of usage out of the lineup without Anthony Davis there. Shooting guard, top play at the position is going to be Jalen Williams. It's chalk, but it's good chalk. Other guys we talked about, Murray, Giddey, Banton, they're all fantastic. I think Anthony Edwards, if he plays, is one of the top plays on the slate. And if he doesn't, I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker probably becomes like the best value play on the slate in terms of cheap value. And so I want to keep an eye on that as well. Get some Alexander-Walker if I can. Somebody like Cam Thomas, I don't mind in tournaments going up against the terrible Washington defense, but that's also in the first game of the night. It gives us a little bit less flexibility. I do like DiVincenzo quite a bit for just a little bit more than him as well. And then D'Angelo Russell, who I previously mentioned, you can play him at the shooting guard position as well. If there's any big injury news that pops up, Keith, feel free to just interrupt me. I'm seeing it's just game time decision stuff right now, but my phone is buzzing like crazy in my pocket. And so if there is worthy stuff, feel free to just interrupt me. And then small forward position, Edwards, Jalen Williams, few more of these guys that we already talked about. Delano Banton, he's just point guard, shooting guard eligible. Josh Hart is going to be a really strong play today. He's almost got the rainbow on lineup HQ, but I do think DiVincenzo is going to be a lower owned, slightly cheaper pivot that you can get off of him today. I think Vit Krejci is in play if DeJounte Murray is out. I don't think I really want to get there if he's in, but I do like some Luguentz Dort as a salary saver. And of course, the very best play on the slate for tournaments, I think, is LeBron James, pending we get Anthony Davis out, because we're projecting him for 2% ownership on FanDuel right now. If AD is out, he will not be that low owned, but he's not going to be 30%. And so I do think LeBron is probably the top tournament play on the slate, assuming Anthony Davis is out. You can play him at small forward. You can play him at power forward. Either one's perfectly fine. Speaking of players that'll be lower owned than they should be at the power forward position, Naz Reid, if Gobert is out, he's currently one of my highest owned plays. He'll be the best play on the slate if Gobert is out. Going up against Detroit, we want to get as much Naz as possible. And so I'll just pivot. There's a bunch of games at the 8 p.m. time, even if we don't get that news until after the 7:31. We still have Indy, Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, Houston, OKC, and the Lakers, Memphis, all at that times. And so even if it's not a straight line pivot, we're going to have other spots that we can adjust in our lineup as well. Bruno Fernando is good value, but I do feel pretty terrified of a 50% projected ownership on FanDuel. So I do think that's something you can go underweight on absolutely in tournaments. And then if somehow Anthony Davis does play, absolutely nobody's going to be playing him today. And so he makes for a strong tournament play as well. Center position, finally, I like Holmgren a lot for tournaments today. He's one of my favorite plays on the slate. Duop Reith sub 5K on FanDuel, cheaper than he is on DraftKings starting. Doesn't play huge minutes, but he's probably going to be out there for at least most of Capella's minutes. And then, of course, hammering home Naz Reid if Gobert is out.
Okay. Let's say AD is out. You mentioned you wanted Russell and LeBron and Nah. Is there like a big man who slides in that you're interested in?
Nas if Anthony Edwards is out, but let me check what Jarvis Hayes' price is on DraftKings, on FanDuel. 4K, and he's power forward and center eligible. So yes, you'd be very squarely in play at either position if Anthony Davis is out, assuming he's the one that draws the start.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Ice, let's kick it over to DK. We still have plenty of time, 22 minutes. What is different, and just generally, how are you going about a build there?
Real quick, we did get Alec Burks ruled out. That doesn't change a ton. It does even further bolster the minutes floor for guys like Miles McBride and Josh Hart. Last time Alec Burks missed, McBride played the entire game, quite literally. So McBride has an even safer minutes floor now that Alec Burks is ruled out, but doesn't change anything much as far as like a usage standpoint. Burks doesn't play that much, but the few minutes he does pick up off the bench, like Tibbs in this situation, has just given him to the starters. So
Yeah.
guys like Josh Hart, Miles McBride have potential to play literally upper 40s minutes, which is just insane to say that out loud, but it is the truth.
It's a Tibbs thing, though. Yeah, that's how he rolls.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see. We just got this from Darvin Ham. Said AD and LeBron are going through their typical pregame routines. Should LeBron be able to play coming off huge minutes? Okay, that really didn't tell us anything. I'm going to be honest. Sorry, I thought we were going to get some juicy there, but still waiting.
That sounds a little bit like Davis is trying to play, which is, I mean, I just assumed that he'd be ruled out already. To be quite honest, after that 50-minute whatever performance last night.
Right.
As it stands right now, I actually do have a lot of Anthony Davis on DraftKings, and I'm playing him only at the power forward position because then you can make the direct pivot only $200 down to LeBron. So as it stands, I have 25% Anthony Davis and 0 LeBron. But obviously, I'll just make that swap if AD's out and LeBron's in.
That's a viable strategy for cash games as well, because Anthony Davis is cash game viable if he goes. If he's out, then as TJ just said, very easy to pivot down to LeBron.
Nice. Okay.
Getting into the core tags here, they're the exact same as they were over on FanDuel. Josh Giddey without SGA, Josh Hart and Miles McBride with their extremely high minutes floor. So that is easy. Same 3 guys. Going through it position by position here at the point guard position. DeJounte Murray again looks really great if he's going to go. That questionable tag is one of the big things still looming on the slate. Scoot Henderson, as he was on FanDuel, grading out really well with a shorthanded Portland team. Great matchup against Atlanta. Even Delano Banton, I think, is cash game viable. We're not projecting him to start, but we are still projecting him to play 31 minutes. So I'd be okay with Banton in cash. I think there's a little bit of risk on the minute stuff there. Even if he only plays like 28 minutes, I still think that he's solid. And that gets even safer if DeJounte Murray gets rolled out, who's a great defender himself. At the shooting guard position, Miles McBride, of course, a guy who's going to play a ton of minutes. Josh Giddey without SGA looking really great. Anthony Edwards with an awesome matchup, still has that questionable tag, of course. Dante DiVincenzo is another Knicks guy who could see 40 minutes, has been playing close to that over the last few games, exploded in the last spot as well with a bunch of 3-pointers, as he's been known to do here recently in the second half of the season. Let's see here. I think that covers it for shooting guard. At small forward, DiVincenzo also has small forward eligibility, as does Anthony Edwards. You could look to Josh Hart for sure is going to be in there, whether you want to play him at small forward or power forward. And then a guy like Denny Avdia would be okay if you happen to land there. DeRozan would be okay.
How is Hart power forward on both sides? He's like 6'4". Can we agree he's not a power forward? Am I alone in that?
Because he's the best
rebounder
for his height in the NBA.
Yeah, he is that. Agreed.
Charles Barkley was a 6'4" power forward too.
The game was a little different back then, but yeah.
All right. Some power forwards here. Jalen Williams is the guy just jumping off the page here. No SGA obviously should be extremely involved in the offense. Josh Hart, a guy you definitely want to play. Let's see. DeRozan, I think, is cash viable. You could play Pascal Siakam as well. I like his upside today. Anthony Davis is the guy. If he's in there, it's hard to trust that he's going to play big minutes again. But if he does go, I think he's very viable. If he's out, obviously, LeBron jumps into the conversation. At the center position, let's see here. Clint Capella, again, has a really nice price. Bruno Fernando, if you need to save even more money. If you're looking in the mid-range, Nick Claxton, I think, is a fair price as well with an awesome matchup against Washington. Chet Holmgren without SGA is viable. I think those are the options that you're looking at. We did get Trace Jackson Davis confirmed starting. I think he's just outside the cash conversation for me. He is really interesting. I'll let TJ talk to him on tournaments. I think he's a great tournament play, but probably just outside the cash conversation. And then I didn't mention the Hawks at the forward position. They both would look really great here. Bogdanovich and DeAndre Hunter. if Murray does get ruled out, looks like we got some baby action coming in here. Also didn't mention D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves. If Davis does get ruled out, he would be both of those guys would be incredible plays.
Nice. Get that baby good and close.
Yeah.
Let's see that cute baby.
Yeah, she is.
Oh,
man.
man. Congratulations, TJ. That is awesome.
Congrats.
That's so great.
Thank you.
Have you done the skin to skin? I don't want to make it weird, but you got to do skin to skin.
Of course.
Yeah, it's the best. It's like the greatest bonding thing that can possibly happen. I'm just thrilled for you, man. That is awesome.
All right, you've got some hiccups, so I better give it back to mom.
Okay. Bye-bye, baby. Okay. Did you finish up in center there?
Yep.
Okay.
All wrapped
Good
up on the cash stuff. Yep.
Okay. Look at that smile. TJ's just thrilled. All right. Let's talk tournaments here on DK. What do you got, TJ?
All right. So actually, if I can, what I'm going to do is I'm going to steal the screen share here from Steve, because if I am able to, are they showing up? Perfect. I will just be able to show off my exposure right now. So I did just do a build as we speak where I'm trying to get to a little bit more Trace Jackson Davis. So this is actually my second most recent build, not my most recent one, but it is very, very close. So the point guard position, Josh Giddey.
Let me interrupt you real quick because we have Murray in.
All right, there we go. DeJounte Murray in. On that note, I'm going to drop a little bit of my exposure to these other, some of these other Atlanta players and make sure I get more DeJounte Murray. Perfect. There we go. All right. So as it stands right now, I have about 40% Giddey, 30% Henderson and McBride. Same with Banton. And then 20% Murray. But I'm going to be actively trying to get more than that now. So Murray in my most recent build, I got up to 30%, which I feel is a much better number here. One of my favorite tournament plays is Jalen Green because he's projecting for next to no ownership today. And this dude's just been absolutely chucking. Yes, it's a big price tag. He's almost 9K, but the matchup, fine. We don't care about we're not worried about this matchup. And Jalen Green at 8,900 actually doesn't look like a bad price tag if you look at these game logs. And so look at the usage rate, over 30% in 4 of his last 5 games. I really do like Jalen Green today as a strong tournament play. Same with Van Vliet, D'Angelo Russell, who I mentioned on FanDuel as well. And then a couple of these other guys, Krejci, Butler. I'm going to be Xing them out now. I'm not actually going to have them in my most recent build. Shooting guard position, we're going to see a lot of the same names: Giddey, McBride, DiVincenzo, Banton. Alexander Walker is somebody I'm getting to a lot of right now, but I, of course, will not if Anthony Edwards is in. I actually do still think he's somewhat viable against the Detroit team that might be without a couple of their best players. I could see him getting some blowout run and looking pretty good. And even though he's coming off the bench, I don't mind getting to a little bit of Brandon Podziemski because that could still just mean a little bit more usage for him. And I don't hate him in this spot because now that he's below 5K. And another guy, Rupert. I'm just getting him in like 1 or 2 lineups just as a punt because he's in the starting lineup. Wallace is somebody that's kind of being chalky right now. I want to split that ownership with Isaiah Joe because I do think Isaiah Joe could end up being the one that gets that run over Wallace if he's playing better. But having said that, I have a rule that I want max 1 Joe Wallace Dort, and I have max 1 Giddey Joe Wallace as well. Small
really
forward
cool
position.
to see your exposure like this, by the way. This is really helpful, like visually.
Perfect. Glad it's working. And then what's nice too is I'm adjusting it slightly, and so won't actually be a 1-for-1 of what I have, but it'll be pretty darn close too. Alexander Walker will change significantly if Anthony Edwards is in, and I'll be trying to get some more Anthony Edwards if he is in this one as well. And I'm mostly just spreading it out. Like DiVincenzo and Hart are my 2 favorites, but I also find myself just liking saving salary here as well because it's not that strong of a position today. Power forward, Jalen Williams is my highest owned play on the slate. Naz Reid obviously will cut down a lot if Gobert is out, but I'm going to try and get even more if Gobert. I'll cut him out if Gobert's in, but I'm going to try and get even more than that if Gobert is out. So I'm going to be, if it's 40% now, I'll try and there's basically every lineup that doesn't have Naz Reid, I will try to put Naz Reid into if we get the news that Gobert is out. And that's kind of one of the nice things I like about playing 20 is it's small enough that you can hand build all those adjustments if you really need to. Center position, Nas, Fernando, Jackson Hayes if Anthony Davis is out, but I will obviously adjust that if he's in. And then my new build also has a lot more Trace Jackson Davis. And so that'll take a little bit away from Claxton, Landale, JJJ, and Chet Holmgren.
Okay, very good. Anything else you want to add here, TJ? Ice? No. Okay, that sets us up nicely here. Take some QQs. We have about 11 minutes until lock. We should note, by the way, it is a good time to make sure that you've got some RotoGrinders premium. You got NBA, PGA, NCAA basketball, NHL, MMA, MLB, literally tomorrow. Get a 6-month combo subscription, exclusive price of $469.99, which is a savings of $250 as opposed to buying 6 individual months of combo premium. And you can give it a test run if you want as well for a 3-day pass, $19.99. If you're just trying to get a little sample, see how it goes for you, highly recommend you check it out. We have so much incredible premium content with baseball just getting started, all these other sports. So make sure you are jumping on that offer. In the meantime, I'm going to pull up the RotoGrinders Discord and get into some QQs, starting off with D-Rock, who says, let's see, TJ, DK, GPP, Hartenstein, or TJD?
TJD.
Okay. FanDuel single entry. Ice, I'll come to you for this. Hart, Fernando, or Wiggy and Clickety Claxton?
First one's definitely going to be pretty chalky, so be mindful. I do prefer the first one, but if you're pretty chalky elsewhere in the lineup, then I'm okay with the second one. I think both of those are solid as well.
Okay, very good. I hear TJ's other babies just chiming in here. What do we got here? DKGPP, no faults at 33 hundo. Any interest in faults, TJ?
Yeah, he's my 5th highest owned point guard, so he's not like my favorite, but he is like the best cheap one.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay. What do we got here? Faults showing up on cash builds on DK. Ice, you going there?
I'm just always concerned about minutes, particularly with the Magic guards. Like we've seen them start Anthony Black, and he ends up playing like 18 minutes. Caleb Houston has started, and he ends up playing 18 minutes. So Fultz has not played big minutes all season long. We haven't projected for 25. Like, I don't think there's any chance he plays like 28. I'm a little concerned about the minutes, to be honest.
Okay.
But he is cheap enough where he's definitely viable.
Okay, that's fair. Let's see, TJ Edwards or Murray for you? These are both two of your two great plays, really.
I think Murray is going to be quite a bit higher owned, and so I would look at the rest of my lineup. If I'm playing a couple Portland players, I'd want to make sure I have Murray in it. But if the rest of my lineup is fairly chalky and I need somewhere to get different, Edwards will be lower owned, and I think they have very similar ceilings. Murray's just got a higher floor.
Gotcha. Okay, great. Is Dario Saric, TJ? There's a name I haven't heard in a minute. Is he good value with Kuminga out?
No. They just have too many bodies.
Yeah. Flying Armbar, does Mitch Rob being back hurt any Knicks? Ice, any thoughts on Mitch Rob being back and how it impacts the Knicks?
Could potentially impact Hartenstein. Could potentially impact Josh Hart's rebounding, honestly. He's not going to play a ton of minutes in his first game back. So into the future, the next couple of games, maybe. I'm not too concerned about it in this first one here.
It will impact the Raptors more than anything else. It will make it even harder for them to score.
Okay. Jumping real quick back into the Discord, DK single entry, TJ, thoughts on Giddey, Chet, and Williams together? Does it box me in with too much of the field, or is it just too thin to play that many guys together?
I would want to get a Jalen Green or a Fred VanVleet in that lineup, but if you do have that, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Okay, got a similar question in the Discord, so good work there. I assume this is a real person. Ice, can I play Toumani Camara in single entry?
He is a real person. Portland is extremely shorthanded. Trying to see. He is starting, correct? I believe that. Yes, he's confirmed starting. Yeah, I think there's huge minutes upside, so definitely playable.
Okay. I've seen a few people mention Pippen revenge narrative. So, TJ, what are your thoughts on Scottie Pippen Jr. in a large field DK tournament with a revenge game?
He is fine, and I had absolutely no idea it was any type of revenge because I thought he was a rookie.
Yeah, I did not know it was a revenge narrative either, so that makes two of us. Thoughts on Cole Anthony on Yahoo Ice?
Very similar to my Markelle Fultz
That's what I
thoughts. Like,
Mhm.
just he's not going to play 30 minutes, but he could be very good in his low 20s minutes that he gets. So he is very much in play. I'm concerned about the upside.
Okay, back to you here, Ice, with a question from NBA DFS. He says Bogdan of the Hawks and Fernando or Capella and Kamara.
With DeJounte in, I'd be careful about going too heavy on Hawks. So I do prefer the second one.
Okay, great. FanDuel single entry GPP, TJ Wallace or Vit. He says, no, I do have Giddey, Jalen, and Chet in this lineup.
Neither. But I guess Wallace still.
Okay. All right. Back into the YouTube. Make sure you're hitting us with a thumbs up, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube for free. All we ask is that you hit that like and subscribe button. Shooter Jenkins, DKGPP, TJ Allen, Siakam, or Chet.
I would go, if you only have like one other OKC player, I would go Chet. If not, I would go Siakam.
Okay, very good. Eric Johnson says, is Bane going to win me a milli? TJ Ice, any interest in Bane in the tournament?
Is there a milli out there tonight?
Yeah, I would be impressed
if
he won.
If Eric Johnson's entering the $3,300 milli maker, kudos to him.
Yeah.
It's too rich for my blood tonight, but I wouldn't be putting Bane in that scenario, but I do have, I think, him in 2 of my 20 lineups.
Okay, great. I don't understand. Young one, redo that question. I feel like there's a typo there that I'm just not quite getting there. FanDuel cash question, Ice, Schroeder and Caruso or McBride and Giddey? It's FanDuel cash.
Second one, definitely.
And then James or AD if he's in. It's AD for you if he's in?
It would be, yep.
Yeah, okay. Let's see what we got here. DK cash question, TJD or Landell?
TJG. Oh, sorry, that was cash, but still TJD.
Agreed.
Okay. FanDuel GPP, TJ Isaac or Jabari Walker for you?
Walker.
TJ, is Wallace okay as a last piece in a GPP?
Yes, I just think he's. I am underweight on him because I think he's too chalky, but he does project well.
Okay. Somebody says pimping ain't easy. That's true, but it sure is fun. George says Harden in a little revenge narrative. Do we have any Harden? Either you have Harden? No. All right.
None for me.
Okay, DKGPP, last guy in, Capella or Scoot, TJ?
Scoot.
Very good. 3 minutes or so until lock. FanDuel single entry question, Ice, McBride or Pippen?
I like the pivot to Pippen there.
Great. D-Rock, DKGPP, TJ, last piece, Wallace or Isaac?
Wallace.
All right, we got what appears to be, we got a little 3v3 DK cash from Fit Crooks, Ice, Hart, Chet, Dort, or Fultz, Murray, and Hawks Bogdanovich.
The first one.
Okay. Are you okay with Dort in cash?
Yes, I am. I don't love it, but I do think there's more upside than usual just because SGA is out, obviously. But I'm not in love with that matchup for them. I do prefer the first one.
Okay. On FanDuel, let's see. Is it okay to play? So we've gotten a few of these questions. On FanDuel, TJ, is it okay to play Jalen, Chet, and Giddey? Do they negatively correlate?
I think it's fine. That's totally fine.
Okay.
I, again, would just want to run it back with a Houston player if I was doing that.
Right. Okay. FanDuel GPP, any Bulls or Pacers? Any Bulls or Pacers exposure, fellas?
Yes, but I have a max 1 on both of those teams.
Okay. Ice, your favorite player for either Bulls or Pacers?
Pacers, it would be Siakam pretty easily. And the Bulls, DeRozan is fine, and I kind of like Kobe White too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Freya.
Those are literally the 3 players that I have in my pool from that game.
There you have it. Okay. DK single entry, Dort last piece. I think we kind of gave the sure nod.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fine, but not exciting.
Yeah. FanDuel, GPP, Agbaji, or Grady private parts?
Neither. Oof. I would go Agbaji between the 2, but try and find somewhere else. I'm assuming that's at the small forward position. I'd rather play Neesmith. I'd rather play McDaniels. Rather go down to Kamara. I'd rather play Wiggins at 5,200. So I'd rather get up to Kisperts or Caruso. Just try and do something else.
That's good.
Yeah.
Right. You get some options. Okay. Is Fernando a better play with Murray in ice?
I guess he helps distribute better than somebody like Trent Forrest would have. So I don't know that, like, I think his usage would have gone up without Murray, but I see the angle there. Like, Murray's going to get him better looks than Trent Forrest would.
Yeah. Okay. Thoughts on Boncaro on DK? Anybody get a little Boncaro?
I'm not, but he's always in play.
Yeah. All right. Rashawn Holmes on FanDuel. TJ?
I think he's too expensive on FanDuel. He's $6,200. He's way more in play on DK at $4,700.
Okay. Our guy Butthole says, can you sprinkle in some Isaiah Joe as a pivot off Wallace? TJ, I think you did.
Yes, I like that. I like that play.
Mm-hmm. Kamara on FanDuel at 5K.
I'm not getting there.
Okay. We hit the lock here. Let's see if we got this one. I've got 6K left at small forward on DK Ice. 6K left, small forward on DK, a large GPP. Do I go Hunter there?
Definitely like Hunter. See if there's anybody with a little bit more upside. Struce might be interesting. I don't know if there's a minutes limit on Struce. I know we haven't projected for very few minutes. I think Clay is playable, but Hunter would be your best option yet.
Okay, very good. Ruthless Villain, right at lock, just said, my lineups blow. There's nothing worse than that feeling when you like get to lock and you're like, no, it just didn't quite ever click for me. But hopefully there's a lot of backloading and changing that can still be done with some breaking news, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Still waiting on Anthony Davis, LeBron James, as well as Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully by the time things get going here, your lineup will not suck. We are going to bounce on out of here for the new dad, TJ, and for Ice, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been